and this is the point in the program that I introduced our guest analyst, who is here to give his perspective on nearly everything we've covered in the past 45 minutes or so on the program. And today I'm delighted to say that I'm joined here in the studio by the journalist, policy strategist and Arise News analyst Waziri Adio. Good to see you, Waziri. Thank you very much indeed for coming in. And I noticed you were sitting there listening avidly, making your sort of arithmetic calculations as these people were talking. What do you make of, first of all, those allegations by the CUPP spokesperson Ikenga Ugochinyere of all kinds of things appearing, and he's showing documents to that effect? And obviously, well, let's get that out of the way first, and then we'll assess the response to it.
Yeah, I listened to him very carefully. I also listened to his previous broadcast on the same issue. I think we need to strike a balance between the need for vigilance and the need not to
alarm people,
to create unnecessary alarm in a way that will cast doubt about the credibility of the system, right? Especially of the electoral management.
But isn't that because people have, I mean, the history of elections in this country have been one of manipulation by people, and so that vigilance and that paranoia, if you like, about the slightest anomaly appearing is almost justified given the history of the way things have happened here?
I think we need to acknowledge where we're coming from. We also need to acknowledge where we are at this point in time. If he mentioned that they had the intelligence, and on the basis of the intelligence, they dug in further and they were able to come up with a case study, right? So the thing to do is to say, okay, yes, it's not going to be a perfect process, but within that process, there are some mechanisms already built in to address things like this, right? The first thing that we need to make is that despite that technology has been introduced to kind of, address the excesses of politicians, right? They will continue to make a bid at it. So don't think that because, there's something that will make sure that they will be found out, that they will not make an attempt.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But the thing is that, can they do it successfully? And if you look at, yes, people, and this is from time immemorial, the first stage of trying to manipulate the election is to tamper with the register, because that's the basis of everything. How many names you have there, and that's the basis on which you can do the manipulation. But can you do that successfully with the introduction of technology? My sense is that you cannot do that. And if you go by the provisions of the Electoral Act, if you go by, what has been done with technology and all of that, there are certain things that need to be, conditions that need to be met that will make some of these things difficult. It doesn't mean that politicians will not continue to try, right? And also, some of these instances, are they statistically significant enough, to change, you're going to have our 96 million, people on the electoral register, and we're talking about, an incident in a particular place, which, I'm not doubting him. I don't know whether it's true or not, but what Inecs has said.
Yeah, but statistically in that particular area, it is quite significant. I mean, he's saying, assuming what he's saying is correct, he's saying that you had like normally 6,000 something registered, and suddenly it jumped to 40 something.
Well, I don't want to get into the politics of Imo and the politics of PDP and APC. The fact that you used to have 6,000 people and it now moved to 40-something thousand, it might give you a reason to say what is going on here. But there might also be a reason for it. I don't know. I don't have that data, so I don't want to comment on that. But what I'm saying is that there are laid down processes for ensuring that when people try to game the system, they can be found out and they can be frustrated.
And you're impressed with the way Inecs has reacted to it, because Inecs has commended the CUPP, saying, well, thank you for drawing our attention to this. We're in the process of cleaning up the register, and you can be sure we are going to look into this you know, as I mean, with everything we've got.
I think that's a very mature response. One of the things you see, especially with government agencies, is that, you know, they overreact, and, you know, they are very pugilistic in the way they react, you know, rather than, you know, you are there to serve the public, and people will throw all kind of things at you. Your own role is to make sure that you explain, and you put whatever is true out there, you know. But we have to strike a balance between ensuring that people do not game the system and, you know, putting a question mark on the process, because if you begin to cast doubt on the credibility of the register and the credibility of the electoral management body, eventually you are laying the groundwork for disputing or casting, you know,
that's a good point, and that's also a strategy that politicians use,
and they do that all the time.
Absolutely.
You know? So I'm not saying that what he has said,
I understand what you mean,
is not valid, but we need to be very careful. We need to allow the process to take its course. INEC said they have a process for verifying, authenticating, you know, because there are many things. You know, there's the facial recognition, there's the other fingerprints, you know, and some of the other things like being physically present according to the Electoral Act and all of that, you know. So, and after that, they're going to display the register within a particular number of days before, you know, they now add it. So when you say, so number of fake voters have been added to the register, that's not particularly correct, because they have not even gotten to that stage. Nothing has been added so far, you know. So we need to, I keep saying, we need to be vigilant, but at the same time, we also need to be careful about sensationalizing things in a way that will cast doubt on the process. And like you said, there's a pattern to this. Politicians always do this. One of the things that we don't have is that democratic spirit, right? People prepare to lose, but they don't prepare to say, okay, when I lose, I'm going to accept. They prepare to say, you know, the election is not credible. To look for any
reason to say that something was wrong.
And you can see patterns of that, the kind of questions that some people are asking about, oh, why is this person being moved out of this? You know, why is this person like this? Why, you know, and all of that. You can see, you know, we need to let people know that, you know, this is an election. And let's give the benefit of the doubt to INEC. I said this on another occasion. If there's any public institution that has shown the appetite and the willingness to continue to improve, is INEC. They continue to introduce new measures to make sure that they do better than the last time, and we should give them the benefit of the doubt. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't put them on the spot, that we shouldn't hold them to account, but we shouldn't also do it in such a way that, you know, we continue to endlessly put their credibility on the
line. It's part of the problem, though, that there isn't enough consultation between the political parties and INEC, and there ought to be more of such consultations.
To the contrary, I actually think INEC has a process for continuously engaging with political parties. They meet with them regularly. They also have a way of, you know, if you have issues, if you have some concerns, let us know. You know, so they do that a lot. If you talk to the politicians, they have that, they will acknowledge that. And INEC does a lot in terms of engaging with them, explaining things to them, addressing their concerns, you know, including accommodating their requests. Remember the last time INEC fixed a particular deadline for primaries to be concluded after they have rolled out their deadline, their timetable. And some of these parties came and said, you know what, you know, we had some challenges and all of that. Can you extend this for us? And on the strength of that, INEC, you know, so INEC has a mechanism for engaging, for listening to them. I'm not saying they are perfect, you know, but I think it's one institution that I think
right. And you think that's improving?
I think so. I think so.
And what about all this about the people purporting to speak on behalf of the Imo State government, wanting to have Mr. Ogochinyere nicked, as they say, arrested? I mean, what, is that something concerning? Is that just part of what you're talking about, that pat ball between the PDP and the APC and so on?
Yeah, that's why I said I didn't want to talk about internal politics of parties or the local politics of Imo State. I think something is going on there, because yes, he used a particular parts of the country, especially Imo State, as a case study. But it was raising a larger issue, which is that, you know, we need to...
Well, he mentioned other states.
Yes, he also mentioned other states. But, you know, all politics is local. You know,
Yeah.
he's running for election in the state.
Absolutely.
He's from the state, and the particular he mentioned, he said 19 or 21, 22 states, you know, governed by APC, but the case study is Imo. But at the same time, I don't think it should be issue of arrest and all of that. Yes, there could be some, because he kept talking about he had intelligence, and people were asking about, so how did you get this kind of sensitive document?
Yeah.
But from his explanation,
yeah,
he said it was from the register already displayed.
Yeah.
I'm not
the
in a position,
supplementary sort of
I'm not in a
thing.
position to
Yes.
to authenticate that. But I think we should disagree with ourselves in a very civil way, and it's not everything that we should make politics with. We should do politics with, including threats of arrest and stuff like that. But you know, it's, if you look at it, it's also both sides. He's also saying some people have committed certain offenses.
Absolutely.
And they should be tried. But you ask a very important question. So how did you know who did this? The fact that this happened in a particular person's constituency is not you know, is not scientific enough for you to or you know
and it smacks of politics.
Yeah,
as well,
you know, to say you know, because this happened, then it could just be a coincidence. I'm not saying it's not true, but you know, it's very important to when you're accusing somebody of something, you need to have evidence, not just on the basis of assumption, or you are just making.
Although he seems to have provided that evidence, according to him.
No. The evidence he provided is, we need to be very careful about this. The evidence he provided is that some names
made their way into the register
in a particular place.
Yeah.
Right. But now he made a leap from that to say it must have been the crime must have been committed by certain individuals.
Yes. And I did take him to task on that.
You don't
saying that you don't have any evidence to link those people to that. In other words, to suggest that there is some kind of party-driven conspiracy to do that.
Until you provide the evidence.
Absolutely.
It might be right, you know, but you know, the fact that things occur together doesn't mean that one correlation,
you can't extrapolate from there's no correlation necessarily between
you know, so
we've got a couple of minutes or so left. I wonder if you've seen the final list of candidates for national elections that was just released a few hours ago by Inecs, and what do you make of that? I mean, Mr. Chinyere, Ugo Chinyere, I mean, his name, according to him, is on the list, so he's home and dry, at least from that point
at least he's on the list. You know, so I got it not long ago myself. I scanned through it. There are some very interesting things there. As you know, we have 18 political parties, registered political parties. Contrary to some of the things that we have read in the press, all the 18 political parties have presidential candidates. Something that I found very interesting, on that list of 36, because for the presidential election you have the presidential candidate and their running mate. So 36 of them, there's only one woman out of 36. So that's something, you know, and that's the presidential candidate of APM. And on that list, the youngest person happened to be 38. That's the presidential candidate of Accord Party, and the oldest person happened to be 75. So that's something that just scanning through the age range between 38 and 75, and only one woman out of 36. That's something that should be concerning. But we should also, there are other areas that will be of interest to people, especially some back and forth about whether some people will run for Senate in some states. I quickly checked. In Akwa Ibom, Akpabio is on the list.
Is or isn't?
Yeah, is on the list.
Right.
In Yobe North, where the Senate president is from, is blank, which means APC doesn't have a candidate in Yobe, you know. So it's not the other guy, and it's not the Senate president. So that's something, you know, that will be interesting to watch in the days to come.
Absolutely. And certainly in the days to come, this will be analyzed. And I'm sure the program that comes after this, Newsnight, will also be taking a look at it. But Waziri, it's always a delight. Thank you very much indeed. The journalist, policy strategist, and Arise News analyst, Waziri Adio. That's it for this edition of Arise Primetime. Join us again tomorrow from me and the entire team here in Abuja. Bye-bye, and thank you for watching.